Let's talk about MicroBot Medical, or MBOT as the stock ticker is. And during my research into this company, it took a multiple of twists and turns, as you will see in this video, going from bullish to bearish, uncertainties to certainties. Let's just get right into the material at hand. First, let's take a quick look at the stock price. As you can see, the company has been around for some time. It's still in the preclinical phase and nothing much has happened with stock price. Also, an early notion to be cautious with this, as we see the market cap here. Be very careful of the information sources regarding this company, as the small market cap makes it easy to hype up and affect stock price. The market cap here of 32 million is very small, and just some hyping can easily affect a small cap stock like this. So be very careful when doing due diligence. One of the reasons for the small market cap is the lack of revenue, as the company is doing research and it's evolving its product. I talked about with some medical professionals about this type of product, just to get more insight into it, but we will get to that after looking at some more numbers. So as you can see, for the quarters, they are indeed losing money, and this means that they need some sort of funding. And as we can see from different press releases, they're doing registered direct offerings, so selling shares, and they're also taking on certain liabilities, although paying them down in recent years. So as we can see, the total amount of liabilities is quite low right now as compared to how it was way in the past. So the company is getting financing. There are investors backing this company. So what do they actually do? Well, they're into robotic surgery, and not just any type of surgery. Because if you look at the hospital today in the surgery unit, you will find robotics. This is established, this is part of medical procedure today. However, this company is operating inside of the blood vessels, and that's the type of machinery that they're trying to evolve and get into the hospital. So what would be the benefits here of endovascular surgery? Well, in terms of recovery, there's a huge benefit, and this is also the need for the product fit in the market. Let's say that you're doing open surgery on a patient. Well, you're cutting a lot, and there's going to be a lot of recovery time for that patient. And let's say that you're in the sort of group. If we try to find a user group of this type of services, maybe you're in business, you can't be out that long, maybe you're an athlete, maybe you don't want to spend as much time recovering. I think that's something that most consumers would want. Well, then in some cases there's an option to open surgery, and that's this thing called endovascular surgery. So when you read about the company on their website, they talk about their innovation within endovascular surgery and trying to find a robotics for this. Well, then you know that this is surgery inside of the blood vessel. And by doing this, you just do a little insertion, a little cutting with a knife on the hip, and then they insert the surgical instruments and do this manually by a surgeon today. So this is basically what MBOT Stock here, MicroBot Medical, is trying to innovate in, just making this surgery easier. So this stock play is purely a gamble on the technology, and as we can see, there is indeed a use case, and whether or not they will succeed is a totally another case. I've seen some press releases about peer research and it's being reviewed in Europe and these kind of things. However, when I tried to read those, I did not understand the material. It was too complex for me as somebody who does not have an education in medicine. So maybe if you're a pharmaceutical salesman or if you're a doctor yourself, then you will have a lot more understanding on the research and what's going on, and you can make a way better educated decision on this stock than I ever could. But just to give you the value in terms of the numbers, we can see that the company is indeed having funding. So I will not say the same thing that I said about Endo, and some of you got very unhappy about that. I told you guys that this company is very close to bankruptcy indeed, and as we saw a few months ago, the company indeed filed for bankruptcy and went bankrupt. This is not the case with MBOT. MBOT has more financing and they're burning cash at a slower pace, and this company has a way more solid balance sheet and it has more time to develop this technology and make it work. But ultimately, as I stated earlier, the success of this company depends on the technology, if they can make it work, if they can get it into hospitals. And just to give you some more context around this, the surgical equipment, the surgical robots that we see in hospital divisions today is being used in studies as well. So it's something that's continuing to be developed. And if we extrapolate from MBOT here, if they can get their equipment into hospitals, starting to generate data, starting to use this data to improve the surgical equipment and having this feedback loop in place, well, then I believe that they can create a lasting competitive advantage. So if the technology works, if it gets into hospitals, if they start to generate data and improve the surgical equipment based on this data, well, then they will be able to take that first mover advantage of actually getting into the hospitals to create a moat to competitors who will not be able to catch up in that case. Because if you look at this from the perspective of maybe a private hospital owner and you want to make sure that you don't get sued, you have successful procedures, you get recommendations, and people actually choose your clinic, well, then you're going to choose the most advanced equipment. You're not going to go for something cheaper that carries a lot more risk unless you made economic calculations that the cost you save on the equipment is actually a lot greater than the potential lawsuits or loss in revenue from people discovering that you have subpar equipment. So that's something that you have to just look at the marginal utility, compare that alternative cost. It sounds a little bit stupid to talk about it in terms of human lives, but this is the way that companies look at these things in investments. So be clear, they have first mover advantage if they are able to get into hospitals, and they need to be able to protect this by improving the equipment, and the data feedback loop is a crucial part in this. So if you are an investor in MicroBot Medical and they blow up and they actually are able to sell their equipment, well, then the second step that you need to follow along on in the news development from this company is how they use their data to improve the products. All right, that's been it covering MicroBot Medical. As always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.